We have some breaking news. Fed Chair Jerome Powell is speaking out on the coronavirus just in terms of its potential impact. We have Brian Cheung joining us now with the latest. Brian.
Yeah, Seana, just breaking on the news wires right now was Jerome Powell, again, the head of the Federal Reserve, with a statement saying, quote, I want to read this to you in full. The fundamentals of the U.S. economy remain strong. However, the coronavirus poses evolving risks to economic activity. The Federal Reserve is closely monitoring developments and their implications for the economic outlook. We will use our tools and act as appropriate to support the economy, end quote. A pretty brief statement from the head of the Federal Reserve, not necessarily signaling that they will indeed cut in their March 18 meeting or call an emergency meeting before that, but committing to doing whatever is necessary, again, as they phrased it, to support the economy, to support the economic expansion. For what it's worth, this is in response to the pretty tightening conditions that we've seen in financial markets so far. Keep in mind that the Federal Reserve has been pretty mum in terms of wanting to say anything specifically about Fed policy reaction to the coronavirus effect on the financial markets. We have heard Rich Clarida, he was the highest member of the Federal Reserve that we heard from this week, say on Tuesday that he didn't necessarily see this as a material change to the outlook right now, which signals that, at least for right now, the Federal Reserve did not see a case for cutting rates. But again, Jerome Powell with a clarifying statement just about or over an hour before the closing bell on today, saying we will act as appropriate to support the economy. Seana?
Yeah, and Brian, it's interesting here just in terms of what Chairman Jerome Powell was saying, and we've also been hearing, obviously, from a lot of the big players on Wall Street. We have Goldman out today saying that they expect to see, or we could see, 3 rate cuts by the Fed from March through June. We also have Bank of America saying that it now sees a 50 basis point cut at the Fed's March meeting. So it's interesting here, just the change of tune that's been coming out over the last couple of weeks in the wake of the coronavirus.
Absolutely. And we see that priced in Fed funds futures contracts markets as well, when you consider that at the beginning of this week, there was only an 11% chance based on those contracts of a 25 basis point cut in that March meeting. Since then, the entire possibility of the Fed actually holding pat has completely dissipated. Now it's about a 50-50 odds of either a 25 basis point cut or a 50 basis point cut. That was before the statement from Jerome Powell today. The only thing that we heard from Fed speakers that even hinted at the possibility of a cut came from James Bullard, who's the head of the St. Louis Fed. He's not a voting member of the FOMC this year, but he is perceived to be one of the more dovish members of this current Federal Reserve cast. And he did say that it's a possibility of a rate cut, but then he backed up and said he really didn't see the need for it right now because he had already advocated for the 75 basis points of insurance cuts that were put in place last year, saying that was already designed to have a lag effect on what we expect to see in 2020. So Jerome Powell's statement again today doesn't necessarily explicitly hint at the cut or of an emergency meeting where there would be a cut, but it is maybe some linguistic message to the markets that the Federal Reserve is at least paying attention to these risks as it relates to financial markets.
All right, Brian Cheung, thank you.
Hey investors, Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.